Receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping you along the way. Helping you to make it through another day. Yeah, yeah. Everything you need to know that you never knew, that you need to know. Lockhart Perspective.
Well, hello and good evening, and welcome to our episode of ChurchyAnity News. You know, I like the fact that we came up with this name because I tell you, if the folks that, I don't know, I think the people of God can really get into some stuff that we, that most of us probably should not get into. But here's the thing. When you think you are above reproach or above making any errors or mistakes in any capacity, it is not a good thing. And so we like to look at ChurchyAnity News because when we do that, we're able to see a lot of things and a lot of the pitfalls that we can avoid. So all of the things that we're talking about here today are specifically things that let you know that we are human and that there's a lot of crazy stuff that's going on out there. Yeah, there is a lot of stuff. With that said, we are about to look at a story that I found pretty amazing. We just did a story the other day where we were chatting about, I don't know why this computer is doing this little weirdo thing now. Hold on, let me see if I can figure it out. Let me close this window out. Maybe that'll help us. But there's something that's open and it's preventing me from clicking and sharing, which is not good. But let's see, maybe we can just say hello to Amy Duran, Rebecca Rage, and William Craig. Now you guys know that this is for just commentary only, and that's it. We're not jumping down nobody's throat. But I gotta tell you, some of the stuff that these folks be doing is a bit amazing. So let's just get right into it, shall we? We might not be able to see it because my computer is spinning and I don't know what that means. It's been doing that all night. Actually, all day since I started recording earlier. Maybe if I close this window, perhaps that'll help us. Nope. That thing is still here. Desktops, I don't think I have any. Why do I have a desktop at all? I wonder what'll happen if I click this button. If I click that button and you guys don't see me, you know something happened. Well, let's just get right into it. I won't be able to play my audio because it looks like there's an invisible block that is covering my controls. So, wait a minute. That's a share button on the side. See? You got to know how to work the system here. And this system share is what we're going to look at. So let's first of all look at, it's not a good story. It's not really nice at all, but we're going to read it anyway because it's ChurchyAnity News. So Tyler, pastor and a former high school coach accused of theft. Really, really sad. Tyler, Texas. This is a couple of months ago, but in Tyler, Texas, a Tyler pastor, Reverend Jerome Milton of the Open Door Church, was arrested Saturday, suspected of theft. Reverend Jerome Milton, 65, was jailed on 2 charges of credit card or debit card abuse of the elderly, and 1 count of theft of property. The collective bond is $550,000. Let me let this be a little larger so that you guys can see it. This reminds me of Carol Ann's bedroom. All of this stuff that's going cuckoo crazy over here. It's just like cuckoo crazy. Where was the last incident of bilocation? I just feel like that every time I see all this stuff jumping around on the screen and I don't know how to stop it. So anyway, KLTV has requested an arrest affidavit to gain more information on the criminal incidents. So we're going to look at the video that ties into this, but it's really, really sad. This is the pastor right here, former football coach, and we'll have a little bit of commentary as soon as we come back. Isn't that awful? That's terrible. Yeah, you see that over there in the corner, the C.W. Woods Company or whatever. Where was the last incident of bilocation? All right, so we're going to move that, and we're going to share the next one. Let me share. There you go. I hope everybody is good tonight. Ronnie.d.Mann. Yeah, and my computer is acting cuckoo crazy for the past couple of days, so I don't know. All right, so here we are, you guys. All right.
East Texas pastor accused of stealing money from an elderly couple just received another theft charge. Now, according to Smith County Jail records, 65-year-old Jerome Milton right there accused of stealing up to $150,000 through credit card abuse from an elderly couple. And upon further investigation, the affidavit uncovered Milton actually swiped thousands of dollars more than they once thought. Now, the ex-pastor was asked to take care of a church couple where the wife has what they call memory impairment, and her husband became bedridden after falling. The couple gave Milton around $6,000 to help with home repair. Instead, he used that money for personal use. The ex-pastor has been out of jail since the middle part of October.
Now that's absolutely awful. And I think the worst part about it is that the family really did trust him to help with them. So this is all alleged, right? It is all alleged, but this is the reason why we have to remember to continue to walk in Yah's way, because this could be anybody, really, it honestly could, but as a part of ChurchyAnity News, it was Reverend Dr. Pastor. In any case, you know, I mean, it could have been Reverend Porkchop for all we know, but the deal is it's just not a good look. It's really not. So that's really sad. I mean, but think about that. The people literally entrusted him to not only take care of the family, but to do some other things and, you know, to do some little repairs or whatever. And now he's accused of this. One could only imagine how that starts. And I think it does go back to that little old passage that says a little leavens the whole lump. So in other words, you take a little bit of sin and then it gets a little easier to pinch, and then a little easier to pinch, and a little easier to pinch. And I think that's possibly what happened with this gentleman. He just got into pinching a little bit and pinched too much and didn't admit to the people that he pinched in the first place. And since they were elderly and had nobody else to take care of them, more than likely, he just kept pinching, obviously, to the tune of over $150,000. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And you would have to think that that's a lot to try to make restitution for. Amy, you say, great evening, beautiful family. Hello to you too. Howdy and blessings to all. Rebecca Rage. Good evening, everyone. William Craig, you'll never find. That little thumbnail reminds me that if he had to sing the little thumbnail, the little thumbnail would sing, "You'll never find, bum, 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 bum." And then Ronnie says 5G rollout issues. Yeah, I think so, to be quite honest with you. And I think it started a few days ago because things started really, really, really running really slowly. So Rachel says, uh-oh, hello to all. And then the mad scientist says, what happens if I do this? Alan, hello and welcome as being one of our newest members. Hey, listen, if anybody else is out there and you're not a member now, consider being a member. We just had a great time having a great trivia class. It was members only, but we had a really good time. And our brother friend, Charlie Sigler, was the winner. And so he's getting a great book that was written by an exceptional author, if I do say so myself. Ronnie says the love of money is the root of all evil. And that's absolutely right. A lot of people want to say that it's money in and of itself. But then we also know the scripture that I always say, and that is money answereth all things. Now, you know the thing about it that gets me is that there'll be a lot of people who are in the quote unquote church who say they understand that and that they do trust Yah, that they trust God. All right. And at the same time, you know, we can see how fragile life is and that any of us Because if not for Yah's grace, there goes I. So we're not judging in that regard, but we are looking at the fruit of this tree, and we're having a discussion based on that. And so the deal is that if it wasn't for his grace, we could easily slip into that. So how do we avoid that? The way that we avoid is by truly and honestly trusting him and understanding that no matter what's going on outside of our door, it has no real relevant effect on us. Let me qualify that. When we begin to trust Yah and we align ourselves with his kingdom, then we know that he is going to take care of our every need. What we have to do in our own personal growth is we have to learn and understand what the difference is between a want and a need, because it's the wants or the must-haves that lead people into this type of pathway. Hey, Marty Lauderdale, how are you? I saw your tweet today. Woohoo! And I was looking at that video. Thanks for posting that on Twitter. Yikes. Whew. What do you know about that? That was a trip, what you put up there. That is a lot of pension, Alan. That's a whole bunch of pension. And he kept pension and pension and pension. But we got to know that the Father is in control of everything that concerns us. Every single little bitty thing he's concerned. I want to tell you that is so true. And it is easy for people to get into those type of situations if they're not prayed up and if they are not completely 110% of the way sold out to Yah. If they've not completely given themselves over to him, anything can come into your mind, but to entertain it to fruition, that's the dangerous piece. And whether or not this is true, whether or not he did do it, whether or not he didn't do it, the scenario itself will stand. The scenario itself will stand. Why? Because once you get into a place where you have to have something, where you get to the must-haves, I gotta have it. Look at those shoes they got. The eyes begin to look at all kinds of things that other people have. And I'm going to tell you, yeah, pastors like the shoes. And I remember my dad, my birth father, and all my uncles are pastors. So they can get into the whole look at the shoes, look at the car, look at everything, look at the new organ that thus and such has. And they step out of the realm of doing what they were called to do and start looking at other stuff. They really do. I just had to go, Saul, shut up. I'm live down here. Okay, so anyway, but that is a danger. It is the danger. The danger is loving that thing so much that you'll do anything to get it. And let's look at it like this. There's a strong possibility that this man's exposure only came after he had been warned a few times. Think about that. His exposure only came after he had been warned a few times. Don't do that. Stop it. Apologize. Repent. Turn around. And he chose not to. So that's what happens, man. All right. So the next story that we have is this one. Now this, we just got through talking about something like this the other day. And yikes is all I know. I think it's really, really amazing to think of what they do. You know, let's just get into the story. Some of these things is so sad. It's just, yikes. Here we are. This comes from NBC News. Okay, you see that? Cremated remains of 89 people discovered in a vacant Ohio church. A search of the Akron church was related to an investigation of a man alleged to have run a fraudulent funeral business. Okay. Authorities found the remains of 89 people in a vacant church in Akron, Ohio, during a search connected to an investigation into an allegedly fraudulent funeral service. A pair of urban explorers discovered boxes of cremated remains in the building when they noticed the open church doors and believed it to be vacant, according to a search warrant affidavit. One of the explorers told authorities that some of the boxes had cremation dates going back to 2010. This is what the affidavit stated. Children's remains were among those found in the church, NBC affiliate WKYC of Akron, Ohio reported. Agents with the Akron, Ohio Attorney General's Bureau of Criminal Investigation conducted a search Tuesday and seized the remains. State officials, or it says state agency, gee willikers. State Special Agent Alvin E. Clare said in an affidavit that the items found during the search may be evidence of a violation of Ohio's law of abuse of corpse. Now, you know what the irony is that we just got to looking at the story the other day, and I think that the way they were talking about, getting rid of the remains of the deceased, I thought that was abusive. I really did, and that's just what I thought. But this is a law that shows that they violated the abuse of a corpse. The church is connected to Shanti Harden, 41, who allegedly ran funeral associated services from the Akron building, prosecutors said. The court filing also alleged that Harden was connected to a Columbus business called the Islamic Cemetery. He was allegedly in possession of cremated remains from that location, despite prohibition of the practice by the Muslim faith, it said. Officials did not say whether Harden had been charged in connection with the recent findings at the church. A Lucas County grand jury indicted Harden in October on allegations ranging from fraud to operating an unlicensed funeral home. Now, I can tell you that, that does go against what they are supposed to believe and supposed to do. But let's take a look at one of the local news stories there that will help bring a little bit more clarity to exactly what happened. Let's go.
A story you'll see first on 3 News. Ohio investigators have found cremated remains of nearly 100 people, all tied to an unlicensed Akron funeral home operator who is already under indictment. Lydia Esparra has details and the latest on what happens next.
Inside the Greater Faith Missionary Baptist Church of Akron on East Buckdell, state investigators found something shocking in the house of worship. Cremated remains of dozens of humans, including children. On Tuesday, investigators say the ashes of 91 people, including 12 children, were found stored in boxes inside the vacant church building. Names and dates of death were listed on each box. 3 News investigates, confirms agents with the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation, along with Akron Police, went to the church building Tuesday morning and collected the remains. And investigators say this man, Shanti Harden, is responsible. In an indictment released in October, 41-year-old Harden faces 37 charges related to providing funeral services without a license he never had.
Because if someone's saying they do funerals, wouldn't you think, okay, they're a funeral director?
Heather Al-Husseini used Harden when her mother, Barbara Patel, died. A spokesman for the Ohio Attorney General says BCI agents plan to attempt to return the remains to family members. It is unclear why the remains were stored in the Akron church. Harden could be facing additional charges as a result of the Akron search. He pleaded not guilty to the original charges, but if you ask Al-Husseini,
we want him to pay for his actions for what he did to our family as well as other families.
Lydia Sparra, 3 News.
Drinking water before bed.
Okay, so now there's a little bit more news about this gentleman, because what we saw is they were dealing with the Islamic faith as one of the pieces. But let's just take a look at this, because there's been a little bit more of some research, or some things that have come to light, I should say, about this situation. And it's absolutely deplorable that people would do that to anybody. But again, it's always for money. So as of January the 18th, 2022, is this Ohio pastor responsible for cremated remains of 89 people found inside bags at a church? Now, he's an Ohio pastor. He's not just dealing with a mosque or something like that, because they don't call them pastors. Okay, they're not called pastors. So this guy's of the quote unquote Christian or Catholic Christian or whatever faith. An Ohio pastor is being investigated by police for running multiple illegal funeral businesses across the state. He's now facing a slew of new charges. After investigators uncovered the remains of 89 people in boxes and bags at his abandoned church. In Akron, Ohio, in September, Shantae Harden, 41, a pastor of the abandoned, get this, of the abandoned Greater Faith Missionary Baptist Church, Reverend Porkchop. Reverend Porkchops are always the ones that I mean, gee whiz, Reverend Porkchop. Okay. In September, Shantae Harden, 41, pastor of the abandoned Greater Faith Missionary Baptist Church, was charged with racketeering, tampering with records, identity fraud, and abuse of a corpse in Lucas County after he was discovered to have been operating without a funeral license. On Tuesday, authorities reportedly found more than 80 cremated human remains, while searching a building used for funeral services in Akron, Ohio. So these two stories are running, right back to back, because they're finding that not only did he do the first one that we read, but there are more places throughout the state that are affiliated with him. Oh, poor Reverend Porkchop. What have you done? So the search of the lot was part of the investigation into Harden's illegal funeral services. The remains were discovered at Harden's church in Akron on Sunday by a self-described urban explorer, a woman who contacted the Ohio State Bureau of Embalmers and Funeral Directors triggered the state investigation, per the report. Yeah, probably some chick that he had slighted. Probably some chick that he promised to buy like a weavelet or something, or maybe buy her a pair of Manola Blahniks or some shoes, or maybe a pocketbook, or maybe promised to get her nails did and he didn't. You never know. And again, this is for entertainment purposes, so hey, I'm not saying I know anything about this cat. Reverend Porkchop is news to me. So in any case, the remains had been stored at the vacant church for years and are believed to be mostly adults, but some may be children. As reported by the Daily Mail, Harden claims former funeral director Robert Tate Jr. asked him in 2017 to store the ashes of people who were not claimed by their families. Quote, "He was just doing a service for someone who needed it," said Harden's attorney. I would not even want my name listed among this if I were attorney. His name is Richard Krieger. Freddy Krueger. Both Fred and Richard are different. Anyway, it goes on to say, quote, "There's nothing wrong with helping people dispose the remains of their loved ones," Krueger said. Tate, who died in December at the age of 65, spent a week in jail and served probation after authorities found 11 decayed bodies at his Toledo funeral home. In 2015, he reportedly pleaded no contest to 1 felony and 3 misdemeanor charges. Harden was initially indicted with 37 counts, but in December he was charged with 7 additional counts, including abuse of a corpse. He was charged with the following: 1 count of engaging in a pattern of corrupt activity in the first-degree felony, 3 counts of tampering with records, 3 third-degree felonies, 1 count of theft, a 4th-degree felony, 8 counts of abuse of a corpse, all 5th-degree felonies, and the next 3 are 5 are 5th-degree felonies. 5 counts of failure to file taxes, 5 counts of passing bad checks, 2 counts of identity fraud, both 5th degrees, and 2 counts of telecommunications fraud, another 5th-degree felony, and 6 counts of representation as a funeral director while unlicensed, 2 unclassified felonies, and 4 unclassified misdemeanors. Single counts of 5th-degree felony criminal tools and unauthorized use of a vehicle, and 1 count of operating an unlicensed funeral home, an unclassified felony, 1 count of failure to refrigerate a human body, an unclassified unclassified misdemeanor. Man, I can't believe this. I just can't. It's just really, really, really. This is yikes. Oh, that's all wrong. What's that about? Oh, that's the actress. Oh, I know who that is. Okay. But that's terrible. This is absolutely awful. Reverend Porkchop is really into some deep stuff, and I want to tell you guys something. Here, let me tell you guys the way that this could go. There's a couple of ways that this could be going, and let me tell you one of them. One of the ways and one of the directions that this could go could be that he's actually being used to dump bodies. Okay? All right? Because has anybody said that they have now identified any of the remains? Anybody? Is there any way for anybody to say, hey, this person was missing? Can we check and see if this person is there? Can we? Is there any way? No, but I guarantee you this cat had some links to some pretty nefarious people. Some pretty nefarious people. Doesn't his eyes tell you that? Don't trust me? Don't trust me? He looks like he's saying, don't trust me? That's what he looks like. Don't trust me. Don't trust him. All right? And so I think it's just really, really sad. I think it's really, really sad. Deb Woods, are you here? Is Deb Woods here? Deb Woods. Oops, late again. Good evening, everyone. Oh, there you are. Okay, I see you. Hey, Deb Woods, how are you today? Much love to you as well, darling. So I just think that it's really, really the root of the love of it. The love of the money is the root of all evil. And the thing about this is this cat blamed it on the man that's dead. He was easy to blame it on because he's dead. He's dead. The other fellow that he was talking about is 110% not here anymore. And so it made it easier for him to blame it on somebody. But now, if we look at the story and we can, I'm going to really intercede for the families of the people who were lost in that situation. No, I don't know who they are. I don't know. But I do know that what happened in this situation stinks. Pardon the pun. Oh, too soon? Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that was a bit much. But anyway, there are a lot of people that are missing in those areas. And there is, since he's nefarious, and since this guy and the other guy that did have the charges that were drawn against him before he died this last fall, I guarantee you that they were helping get rid of people for some money. I do. And they just got really, really sloppy. And it's a good thing that they got sloppy because none of us would have ever known. No one would have ever known what they were truly and honestly up to. But these are the things that go on in the church. And I really just want to say that it is so important for us to stay walking in our Father's will. It is so important to continue to walk in our Father's will, because even though we see these crazy stories, we also know of some personal stories in our lives where we could say, whether it be 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, people that we knew that we would or knew of, we would be like, gee, I never thought that person would have done that. This is the way that it happens because they get away with a little and then there's a little bit more. But the one thing that you have to know, hello, how are you, Steve? How's it going? It's just that it's like these stories seem so unbelievable, but they really are sad. That is a terrible thing to take other people's remains, their family members' remains, promise to do something that's, an upright thing, and lie and say that you are some. Now, how much? Let's talk about this. If you're cremating people, you're saying that you are a funeral service. How much money did he make off of these families? I want to see the letters. I want to see the families coming forward saying, hey, we paid this guy, Reverend Porkchop, right here. We paid Reverend Porkchop, $4,000 or $3,000 because we couldn't, afford a $25,000 funeral. I want to know where any of those bodies, COVID bodies. There is a myriad of questions that go along with the story. There are so many. This can go forever and ever and ever. What is this right down here? Let me see.
We have an update for you on a story we first brought to you yesterday. Nearly 100 cremated remains were found in an abandoned church. Now we have names to go with them. And Emma Henderson explains how one woman made that gruesome discovery.
Angie Small found herself inside this abandoned church at 825 East Bechtel Street in Akron Sunday, shooing away local kids who had gotten inside the building. She stepped foot inside and saw boxes everywhere, and as she got closer, the realization of what was in them: human remains. We spoke to Small, who isn't ready to go on camera yet, but she said this about the discovery. Quote, "It wasn't scary. It was sad and disturbing, just shocking." Small says there were dozens of boxes in a kitchenette area of the building, and that she saw cremation records dating from between 2005 and 2020. She spent an hour taking photographs and laid her rosary beads on some of the boxes. That's when she reported her findings to the Board of Embalmers and Funeral Directors. BCI is investigating and say they've recovered the cremated remains of 89 people, including 12 children. The church labeled as Greater Faith Missionary Baptist Church also went by Hussein Funeral Home and Celebration of Life, both operated by 41-year-old Shantae Harden. Harden is no stranger to the law. An affidavit from BCI shows Harden's home, which is next door to the church, has been searched several times before. And he's accused of performing funeral services without a license in the Toledo area, where he faces additional charges. With these findings, the BCI expects Harden to face abuses of a corpse charges here. Harden's attorney told us the church in Akron was used as a storage for unclaimed remains.
Now we have this list with 89 names, each listed as evidence taken from the church. The Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation says they plan to try to return the remains that were found to family members. Russ?
Certainly more to come on this. Okay, Emma Henderson, thank you.
Okay, so now Rev Porkchop, big as all outdoors, sitting up there sweating like a pig, hence the name Reverend Porkchop, and he got the audacity to be standing there trying to protect people with a mask on his face, big old pamper, stretched from ear to ear. And the sad part about it is, with this joker, you ain't got to be worried that that's going to be something that's going to kill you dealing with this cat. You got to make sure you keep somebody with you at all times, because there ain't no telling, hey, he might need a new pair of gaiters. He might need a new pair of shoes. It ain't no telling. I'm here to tell you, this is a hot rump mess, and we are going to find out. I hate to laugh, but hey, stop it. If I don't laugh, then I'll cry, because this is unbelievable. That this cat is sitting here literally trying to say, why are you even talking to a camera, Dodo? Go sit down someplace. You don't even need to be in front of a camera. Who is your attorney? They should have told you not to even say anything ever. Ever. EVA, ever. Forever. You don't need to say nothing to nobody. And this is out of hand. Listen, it said to 2020, and we already know that if he lived right next door to the church, that he was getting down throughout the years as well. He was doing it throughout the last 2 years too. Okay? You probably got all kind of people who are missing. All right? All kind of folks who was missing that don't nobody even know. This is a shame, and I'm really, really going to intercede that they find out everything, because this right here is just a piece of the puzzle. Okay? This is just a piece of the puzzle. And his big old tail sitting up there sweating like a Christmas ham with a pamper from ear to ear. I can't believe it. In desperate need of a B cup. I mean, it was just a hot mess. That's terrible. Can you imagine how many people are looking for their relatives and their family, and this cat done got a hold to them? There's no telling. Yes, I do know that some people went to him, which is the reason why he, put them in the boxes or whatever. But there's also a shiftier side to this guy than this. And I'm telling you, they're going to find out that he was doing stuff for somebody else, but they just might whack him before he's able to tell. I think so. Yeah. So I know that's terrible. Let's read what some of the comments you guys have. Did he have a crematorium? You know what, Deb? That's a very good question, because if he didn't, then that leads us to the question as to where was he cremating the bodies? You see what I mean? All right. Ooh, yikes. This thing runs deep. Reverend Porkchop, follow me. If for whatever reason Reverend Porkchop had a barbecue pit, I can't think of it. I just can't think of it. Okay, anyway. Marty Lauderdale says, at Allen, I don't know either. Sounds just like a kitchenette. You can't help but laugh because if you don't, you're gonna cry. Yeah, one gigantic ear-to-ear pamper. Yeah, big old, big old, big old. A lot of evidence can be gained post-mortem unless you're ashes. Exactly. And we never know who is there. I mean, the people that do know, the 89 that they were able to uncover, that's a good thing. Hopefully those families can pick up the pieces and move forward with their lives, because that's a terrible thing to endure. You know what I mean? To have your loved one die, first of all, and then second of all, to have them be handled so poorly. But my real question is, at what point do you go and request your loved one's remains? I'm going to hold on to that for just a second. 89 people? Were these bodies that were not claimed? And if that's the case, then that's something totally bigger than Reverend Porkchop. Because then that means that it's the local county or the city, which I didn't see any evidence of that with what we were reading. But if a person has given their remains over or given the body over to a crematorium, funeral home or whatnot, then you would imagine that as soon as that's done, that you would want your loved one's ashes, if that's what you believe in doing. And so if that's what you believe in doing, you would imagine that you were able to get a hold of the ashes and take them in an urn, or maybe, go dispose of them however the family sees fit, together. But it's just terrible. It's just awful. So I think that this is going to have some deeper roots. And if Reverend Porkchop does not make it to trial, i.e., he accidentally steps on one of his B cups and trips and falls down accidentally, okay, then we're going to know something. Okay, we're going to know something. Some folks have no good sense. Absolutely, Marty. From anywhere, states over. Okay, yes, that's right. Any place. One tiny fish in a big ocean. Yes, he is just he probably, if he is a part of something else. The question is, this lady that just so happened upon this building because she claims children were in there, was it her child? You see, we didn't hear that. And how does she have several rosaries? So that means that she's known about this cat. Either somebody that she knew told her about him, or maybe she got a little curious after, his friend had gotten involved with the police. There's something. He might end up in one of those boxes. Well, in this case, 4 for sure, Sarah. Okay, let's see. Deb Wood says, when my brother died, I made darn sure, I know what you mean, that I knew where and who was going to touch him. Absolutely. Absolutely. Darryl says, I'm speechless. Isn't that terrible? It's absolutely insane that they would do this. It really is. His name is probably already on some inmates' list. Yes, because this is deeper. He's probably the person that was the weakest link, and they're exposing him or something. But this is a lot deeper, and I believe that we're going to hear a whole lot more. Oh boy, fried green tomatoes cooking on the grill. Rachel, you're crazy. Y'all want to come over for some barbecue? Yeah, I got some good eating. Don't go there, man. Barbecue. I'm crying over here. Hey, I'm just saying we gotta laugh to prevent ourselves from crying, because it is sad that this is where the church is headed. This gentleman's literally walking around saying that he is a pastor, which they said that was his church. But at what point did you decide to convert your church into an illegal crematorium, into an illegal funeral home? There are a lot of people who, not myself, I would never personally want to do it, but there are a lot of people who got into that vocation because they really did enjoy helping people make sure that their family members were laid to rest with some type of, dignity. And for him to take that and turn it around and do what he's done is really bad. Now, there have been other places that have done something similar to this, and they've done something similar to this, and what they've done is They've just never buried the people. But the part that really is concerning about this story is that there are children involved. What parent or loved one would turn their loved one over to any funeral home, especially the parents of children, and not want their remains? Okay, we can forget about the adults because something else could have happened to the other adults. It's far-fetched, but it could happen. But a parent would want to know what happened to their baby. They would go and pick up their loved ones. Some people may not believe in cremation, and some people may have no choice financially, and they have to go that direction. So you've got to add that to the fact that there are children that are listed with this. And where are the parents? Where did those kids come from? That's something that is a lot to think about. Where did the children come from? Where are the parents? How come they didn't go and collect their baby's body? 12 children? I could understand maybe one, and you finding 14 bodies, or you're finding 12 bodies or remains. And out of those, you may still have 3 left. But there's 12? That's amazing. Yeah, that is amazing. And then decomposing remains. This is terrible. And this is attached to the church. So that's awful. You're right, Deb. We cremated my mother and she was buried near her parents within a few days. I said a few days, 2 weeks due to if a funeral home has had a lot of cremations to do. That's right. Okay? That is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And so I just hope that they get to the bottom of this, and I hope that everybody else who is involved in this really gets caught up quickly, because that cat is not in this by himself. He couldn't do this by himself. He can't even get hold to his shoes in the morning. He can't. There's other people that are involved in this, and they are required to be put in a suitable container, not a shoebox. Absolutely. Okay? Yeah, this is terrible. But these are the things that are happening, and they're attaching Christianity to this. They're attaching Yah to this, because when they see us, they don't know that we're not a part of that. They just think that that's us. So here's how we have to work to turn this around. You have to know what you're called to. You have to understand that you can boldly say to people who say, I don't want anything to do with God. This is what they say, and they say it colloquially, just like I did. I don't want anything to do with God. Look at this guy, or look at this guy. You have to make sure that you let them know, you know what? That's people who have no idea who the real, true, and living God is. You can say that. They have no idea who Yah is. They don't have any idea. So when you see things like that, please don't associate that with him. Because as we're walking and as we're beginning to put our ministry training wheels back on and help other people find truth, we've got to equip ourselves with things like the ChurchAnity news of it all to allow us to be able to be equipped with what to say and how to counteract those types of things and how to put people, at ease to understand, yeah, you know what? Those are some really bad, awful things. I did see that. But let's just be honest. We have to know that man is not called by Yah. He's just not. Why? Because the Father said that he would give us pastors after our own hearts. After his heart, should we elect to be under a pastor in this case, right? So if he's going to give people pastors of his own heart, and you're talking to somebody that's, a babe already. They're not somebody on your level. They don't understand totally. But this is how you're going to be able to work around that. Then you know that person was not a representative of the Father. And that's how you have to let them know. That's how you have to let them know. This individual that you see here in this situation, he is not a part of the kingdom. He's not. And you can say to them, yeah, you know what? I totally agree with you. I wouldn't want to have anything to do with that type of thing anyway, because that's not who the Father is. And this is the main reason why I believe that a lot of the people are leaving the churches. This is the reason why a lot of people are walking away from churches right now. They had the whole walk away thing not long ago. But when you have pastors who are like a big churches, and these pastors are out here cavorting and cheating and doing all this other stuff with women and, sometimes, unfortunately, gentlemen, these are things that are heartbreaking because it makes it difficult for us to stand up and tell people what the truth is. It really does. It can. It can make it pretty uncomfortable for you to stand up and be bold enough to say, nope, I'm sorry. That's not good. That has nothing to do with us. Or, yeah, I agree with you. That is pretty rotten. That is pretty bad. I agree. That's not good. Okay? That is not that's not good. Let's see. There are a couple of other stories that I wanted to bring to you. They're a bit older, but that's okay. No, I don't want to read that one. I don't feel like going in that pit today. I really don't. There's just certain things that, this was bad enough, but I had to share it with you because this is what's going on right now. And I think that there's going to be a lot more of these, funeral home, fake things like that, because when it's a crooked criminal, a lot of those crooked criminals like to get onto the bandwagon of what's popular at the moment. And at this moment, death, unfortunately, is something that people are really, really buying into because it's so ever prevalent right now. All right. And there's a lot of people, bless their hearts, that are losing relatives and loved ones that don't have the money to do what they need to do. And there are a lot of people who are out there like this guy who are taking advantage of them. Hey, close the door for me. Taking advantage of people. And that's exactly what they're doing. So there is another story, and I'm not sure if you guys know who this gentleman is. But I don't really even know if I want to talk about this, but you know what? I think I have to. I think I have to talk about it because the issue is Saul, be quiet. You guys can only imagine. I have to talk about it because the sad part is that these are the things that are going on, and these are the things that people are seeing. Unfortunately, this next story is something that's literally all over YouTube, all over, the news. And hopefully, let me pull it up because I just had it here. And I really, at first I decided, no, maybe I won't. And then I decided, well, I think I have to. Let me see where it is. First of all, if I can't find it, that's an indication that it broke my heart when I saw it. That's the reason why I'm sort of glad that if I can't find it, that's good. Hold on, let me see. It was hold on, let me put this word in and see if I can find it because I just pulled it up. I had all of it up. Okay. Nope, I can't find it, so that's a good thing. All right, so we're not going to talk about it. That's a good thing because it's heartbreaking. To me, it's very heartbreaking, especially when you consider that, and I'll just tell you the gist of the story. It's a very big, famous pastor who has had to step down because of some poor decisions that he made. He made some pretty bad decisions, and I can only think of his wife, and I can only think of the families that he's destroyed based on some of the choices that he's made. But these are the things that are real, and these are the things that are every day going on right now. These are the things that are going on right now. Okay? And so it's really important that we, as far as this situation, and let me just take it away from this young man because I believe that his wife is really, really hurting. Okay, very famous young pastor. He and his wife, very young, very energetic. But let's talk about it. Let's remove them out of it. And I'm glad I could not pull the story back up because it is so heartbreaking. Adultery is something that is very, very heartbreaking. I'm going to strip this all the way down to the bare bones. Okay, let me strip it all the way down to the bare bones. If we were still doing marriage the way that it was supposed to be, I believe that a lot of the problems that we have now, we would not have. I'll go deeper into that, a little later. But the truth about it is that when a person decides that they are going to step out and do those types of things to their spouse, these decisions were already based on their level of moral and ethical behavior, or the lack of moral and ethical aptitude. So they don't have the ability within them to turn those types of things around. There are some men and some women who have stepped out, who can turn it around, who have turned it around, and who have gone on to become, 80, 90 years married, loving that spouse till, one of them passes or they both pass. But there are a lot of people who are like these young folks who get caught up in the glitz and the glam. They get so busy running from one place to the next place that they do not have a quote unquote prayer life. They do not have a study life. They really rarely take their spouses with them. They set themselves up for a lot of pitfalls that will definitely not fare well. This young man got involved with a woman who was not a member of his church, but it certainly came out. It certainly came out. Now, again, just like I said before about the last person, was that he more than likely had warning, and then he ignored that one. He had another warning, and then he ignored that one. And then just recently, he had to come before everybody on a video, and he had to step down as the pastor. And others had to pick up his work and run forward with it. All because he did not know how to make sure that those pitfalls were not there. And he did not make sure that they were not there. And that's the reason why he and his wife are now going through something. There's a lot to say about dealing with an adulterous situation. Y'all knows that I have in my life. And again, on this channel, there is no secret. There are no secrets. You can just go back all the way to any of my old videos and you'll see it. And that's the reason why I'm open and honest and telling you that there are pains that the spouse goes through when you do those kinds of things to him or her. And there are sometimes some people forgive, some people can keep going and, get on their knees and get back up. But there is something powerful about forgiveness, and there is something powerful about restoration of a marriage. There's something powerful about that if it is done with the right heart, the right intention, and the person that did the wrong is willing to admit that they were wrong, figure out how they can prevent it from happening. And let me say this, the way that he could have prevented it from happening was possibly taking his wife everywhere he went with him. A lot of times that's what I see as being a, daughter of a, the daughter of a pastor. I could see that as being an issue where they don't take their spouses with them when they should. Their wives are one place and they're someplace else. I remember back when I was in ministry, there were ways that they taught us that we were not supposed to do things. You know what I mean? We were not supposed to be in the room with a male, saying that we were ministering to him and there was nobody else with us. So in other words, if I had to speak to a younger male, I had to have a female and a male with me to minister to that person. I never touched him. If he had a wife, her hand went over his body and my hand went on top of her hand. But see, these were old school things. I didn't learn this in my daddy's church. Trust and believe I did not, because they had some stuff going on in that Baptist church. Ooh, Rev Porkchop and them. But I will say that there are some ways that they get caught up in some stuff and they don't know how to get out of it once they're in it. They just keep going. And you don't fall into that. You walk into that willingly. Okay? You walk into that willingly, and that's exactly what I believe the problem is. But for whatever reason, this young man that's there in Houston, in Texas, I really, really feel for both he and his wife, and I do hope that they get it together, and I do hope that they can be restored from this. I hope that she doesn't harden her heart. I really, really, really hope that she does not harden her heart, because if she hardens her heart, then her children are not going to really be the type of children who can learn to forgive. And I know that sounds crazy, but I'm going to tell you that I have repeatedly been forgiving. And some would say, oh, you can just throw that away. Oh, just forget about that. And trust me and believe me, yes, you could feel that way, as I have. But you look at life and you figure, I could give up today, but life is just a vapor. Who restarts after all those years? Life is a vapor, and it's not promised to any of us. There are no people who are perfect. Nobody who is perfect. Then you got to stop. You got to start it again. You got to deal with this new person. Then you got to learn them again. Then you got to go through all this other stuff. Or if it is done, if you are a Hebrew, then you already know you ain't getting married again, sister. Have a seat. And that's a different class for a different time. So I do pray for, I will intercede for them to have a restoration of the marriage, because I can only imagine how his wife feels. I can only imagine. And I just think that it's just terrible and it's sad. So I'm glad that we could not find the story, because unless I go over here and look inside of the of my history on YouTube, because I did find them here. Hold on, and I'll just show you who they are, so that way you can possibly intercede for them as well. Because to me, that's the most important thing, is to intercede for them and to stand in the gap for them, and just hope that he's not the type of guy that's going to continue to do this. But from what I could see, it did not appear that he was that kind of cat, the kind of cat that would just keep going. He didn't. He seemed like he was just getting caught up. And hey, let me just say this. I can't judge this dude one way or another, but I will say this thing, and I'm going to come back on this side because I have decided I'm not going to show him at all. Let me tell you what I think the issue is. A lot of these younger cats that get into church and that get into ministry too young, that have really not learned any good life lessons and any deep word, they get caught up in the semantic piece of it. They get caught in the piece that says, look how many members we have. And he has a big church there in Houston. Look how many members I have, or look how many this I have, or look how many cars that I just bought. He was literally on one of his videos stating about how much he loved the Christmas lights. And see, that right there tells me that you think you got that fire, but you really don't have the Ruach with you, because you're still rocking with some stuff that have no power. You're still walking with some things that has no power at all. And so just be happy that we are not attached to this world. We are not attached to the Roman Christianity any longer, because we were at one time. Okay? We were at one time, and we could be like that right now. Let's read some of your comments. I'll start right here at the top of my window. So that means it'll be a little abridged. Lady M says, good evening, everyone, and good evening to you. Hi there. Good to see you, Lady M, says Marty Lauderdale. Hey, everybody's loving on you. That's nice. And you're loving on them. That's cool. Looks like I'm just getting into the hello. The wise words, Felicia. Well, you know what, girlfriend, I'm going to tell you right now. It didn't come easy. Okay, having her on the other line when speaking to other females. Yep, what you just said. Or in earshots, because my brother and I are very close. His wife is close. My husband is close. So yeah, absolutely. Restoration and strengthening, and a whole new level of love and appreciation for one another, like never before. Closer to Yah than ever before, and all that. Yes, we need Jesus. Nebuchadnezzar syndrome, absolutely. And so I think that's what he did. He got around a lot of guys who were, flossing, and possibly who may have even been in ministry for a lot longer, and he's just looking at what they've amassed, and he's looking at how big his church is getting, and it's getting really, really big, really fast. And so because it's getting big really fast, he probably got a little sidestepped. He got very sidestepped, and, he started to sidestep and went one step over too far and found himself in some issues. And that in and of itself is definitely not good. Not good. Oh, I found it. I found it because I was in a totally different browser. All right. So let me see if I can show you this little fella. Now, we already know about Hillsong. We already know what happened there, and that's terrible. But these are the types of things that are going to continue to happen. They're just going to continue to happen. And I think it's because a lot of folks refuse to see the word. Now, here it is. Oh, okay. You guys just keep his wife, intercede for his wife, and it's Jeremy Foster from Hope City. Okay, so just keep his wife, keep her, yeah, just, and I think they have a new pastor now. Yeah, they do, very young, and you know, I really don't understand why they keep pulling up all these young people. That's the one thing I don't get, is they continue to pull up all these young people to be in leadership, like pastors. I don't get it. I don't get it. Okay, so are you guys there now? Are you still there? Can you hear me now? Are you sure that's, you know what, Amy Duran? My electronics have been acting really weird for the past few days. All the way up until today, they've been acting pretty kooky and spooky. All right, anyway, just wanted to sit back with you guys and talk about that with good old Rev Porkchop, not making sure that he did what he was supposed to do and all that other stuff. But you guys, let's just take this and say this one thing. An hour went by fast. Let's just say that. The hour went by fast. Uber quick. So let's see what else we've got coming up this week. I know that we've got another date and time that we are going to be with each other, and that is for tomorrow. That'll be for the 21st. How much do you cost, Balaam? How much? How much do you cost, Balaam? 5G rollout issues, yes, sir. You keep saying that, big little brother, and I'm telling you, that's true. We're good now? Yeah, it's acting really kooky. It's weird and staticky. Yeah, it's been doing some really weird stuff. It's better now. Sounded like Chipette for a minute. Well, I'm glad it's better. So you guys, we've been together for about an hour. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for hanging out with us over here for ChurchIanity News. It's a really quick hour that went by. Please go over to TLP Headlines with a Voice. That's the one with the red banner. TLP Headlines with a Voice. We've got a couple of new 2 stories that we just put up today. I'd love to get your input and find out what you think. And don't forget to check us out over at Headlines with a Voice. And if you guys are ever looking at Odyssey, please help out the Lockhart Perspective over there. Because I'm going to tell you, that is, it looks like a desolate land over there. I went over there last night and I was like, wait a minute, what is going on over here? Let me see if I can show you guys what I mean. I was looking at Odyssey. We're also on Parler. I went on Parler yesterday as well, just to do a little bit of, double checking to see how it's looking on that side of the world. And gee willikers, let me just tell you, it is desolate. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys what I mean. Let's take a look at this. Okay, I'm going to stop this right here. I don't want you guys to see what I mean before we leave. We're going to share this screen, and I'm going to take you guys to Odyssey. And when I say creepy Will Robinson, it is creepy. Okay, look at that. There are 3 views on our trivia-only chat. Now, what happens with this? It goes over there on its own because we set this up, and by we, I mean Bettina set hers up and I set mine up at the same time last year. And so it automatically ports it over here. Now, the one thing I will say is I'm really happy that we have 170 subscribers over here. All right, that's a good feeling. On the actual Lockhart Perspective, we have about 3,400 subscribers on the Lockhart Perspective. On TLP Headlines with a Voice, we have about 360 subs. And over here on Odyssey, we have 170 followers. There's nothing that you get over here. I mean, they give you some crypto stuff, but that's no big deal because you can't get it in the United States. So that's not the point. the point is that it's a really good platform to be able to speak freely. So with that said, if you guys are not already following the Lockhart Perspective over here on Odyssey, please do. Another place that looks pretty desolate, because I saw this and I said, yo, what happened? We have another one. Let's see. Yeah, this has 2 views. This has 1 view. This has none, apparently, because it doesn't have any views. 4 views over here. Nothing, just checking on you. 3 views. Good morning, 5 views. 209 views for the connection between 5G and COVID. So we've got that. Okay, so that's good. That's good. That's getting the information out. That's getting the word out. And you guys, I don't even think you guys saw this. Dismantling America? I don't think you guys saw this. Let me pull this over here for you. Did you guys ever see this? I don't think you guys got a chance to see this. Hold on, let me let you see this. Okay, let's get. No, I want to hear my brother. I'm not gonna fast forward my brother. Okay, you guys, can you hear this? Let me know if you can hear it. The Lockhart Perspective. Marty Lauderdale, is this 5x5? Steve Willis? Okay, I'll get it. If you guys can hear this, let me know. Well, hello and good evening to everybody. This is my first time live here on Odyssey, and so I'm really excited about that. I want to welcome everybody, even though you may not even be here yet. There may not even be a big congregation of people that's joined in. But what I want to say is the title is pretty startling because that's exactly what's going on. Right now, America is being dismantled. Now, in several ways, but the one specific way that I'm honing in on this evening is the empowerment of Black women. And I don't know whether people know it or not, but there's been a lot of money, and I do mean a lot, passed out just recently. And the amount that we're talking about tonight is coming from the state of Georgia. So believe it or not, hundreds of Black women in Georgia will be getting $850 a month in guaranteed income. Now, this is a large amount if you consider they're not doing anything for it. Yeah, let's get into the story. This is available only on Odyssey. A new guaranteed income pilot that will give hundreds of dollars per month to poor Black women in Georgia in an effort to improve their financial stability and mental health, as well as tackle the racial wealth gap. I am going to read this, and then I'm definitely going to give you my commentary. If you've never seen me before, then I suggest you stick around. But it just says that it's going to help with the racial gap, all right? It also goes on to say that the program is called In Her Hands, and it gives $850 in monthly cash with no strings attached to up to 650 Black women for approximately 2 years. Yeah. Now, launching early next year and distributing more than $13 million, it poses to be one of the largest guaranteed income pilot programs in the United States. Now, I know somebody's probably saying one of the most. Yeah, there's several others. Two off the top of my mind, I think of New York's. I also think of California, and I think they started the one in California in Oakland. I'm almost positive that's where it started, but don't quote me on that. Double check. But nonetheless, it says that it's led by the Georgia Resilience and Opportunity Fund, and it's a coalition of local elected officials and nonprofits together, and the nonprofit Give Directly, which is a program that will include participants who live in the Atlanta area as well as other parts of the suburban and rural Georgia area. Now, and they also say that these folks are, right at the federal poverty line. The program will study how such unconditional cash transfers affect the financial and the mental well-being of participants. All right, it is intentionally being started in Atlanta, a city with some of the most pronounced income inequality in the United States, and specifically in the Old Fourth Ward neighborhood, where Martin Luther King Jr. grew up and promoted the idea of guaranteed income. The median black family in the United States owns $3,600 in wealth, and 2% of the 147,000 that the median white family owns. And then in 2019, the research from the Institute of Policy Studies in Georgia said that about 26% of black women live in poverty compared to 14% of white women. The black women have also been hit with disproportionately hard by COVID-19 pandemic, and the company and accompanying with that is economic crisis. So being more likely than others to face job loss and eviction, and black people overall in the United States have experienced higher rates of hospitalization and death from the coronavirus than white people have. Now, quote, black women are among the most likely groups to experience cash shortfalls that make covering basic needs difficult. This isn't a result of poor choices, they say. It is a result of pervasive income insecurity. And that has the sharpest impacts on women and communities of color. I want you to be very, very cognizant of the term color, okay? Hope Wallenstock is the executive director of the GRO Fund, and this is what she said in the release, quote, guaranteed income is a step toward creating a more just and equitable economy. The idea of the guaranteed income, or free money with no conditions, to improve economic and other outcomes for low-income people is not new, and it's been tested in large-scale countries such as Kenya, India, with positive results. Ooh, I got to take my glasses off because the heat from my head is really steaming it up, because this is like a steaming pile here. But let's keep going. Kenya and India with positive results, including improved nutrition, and in Finland, where the recipients reported improvements in their health and well-being, Give Directly, a non-profit co-leading the pilot in Georgia, ran the world's largest and longest universal basic income experiment in Kenya. Okay. The United States and other guaranteed, in the United States, other guaranteed income projects have shown promise in Stockton, California. That's pretty close. I was thinking it was Oakland, but it said Stockton. Okay, Stockton, California, 125 people were sent $500 in cash each month for a year. The research found that the recipients had better job prospects and improved mental health, and that they used the cash to purchase the basic necessities. Well, that's good, right? I mean, you want them to get the basic necessities, at least that, right? All right, so it goes on to say that, meanwhile, for a year, Magnolia Mothers Trust in Mississippi gave $1,000 a month to black women, or black moms, who said that it made a difference in their lives. And in Oakland, there it was, California, they are currently running a guaranteed income program, giving away $500 a month to 600 low-income families of color. Remember I said color? Keep that in the back of your mind. In the United States, a federal report from 2019 found that nearly 40% of black Americans would not be able to cover a $400 surprise expense. With this in mind, Representative, here it comes, Ilhan Omar. I said I'm going to hold it. I'm going to hold it. Y'all, somebody tell me to hold it. I'm holding it. Omar, Democrat of Minnesota, introduced legislation this year that would create a federally guaranteed income program to send $1,200 a month directly to most Americans, and promoting the legislation. Omar pointed to the success of the government's own experiment in giving cash to people, millions of dollars, who received the third round of stimulus checks during the pandemic, which it was a test all along. Okay, I forgot I'm supposed to be stick to the copy, ma'am. All right, so these payments were found to substantially alleviate economic hardship Okay. Helping people to buy food and pay their bills, and may have helped reduce anxiety and depression for some people. Okay. The original place of this article, even though I found it here in Yahoo News, it doesn't matter where it comes from, right? The fact is, it is what it is. But it came from the Huffington Post. Oh, we can really trust them, that they believe that what they're saying is the right thing. Here's my commentary on all this stuff. Here's my commentary. So my commentary on all of this stuff is this. You do not empower people by giving them everything you think they need. And this, for you to tell me that it worked in Kenya and that it worked in India, then why am I seeing the commercials that we're seeing trying to get coins and dollars sent to Kenya and other ports of the continent of Africa? And then another thing that I'd like to know is, why are you sharing with me anything that goes on in India when you and I both know that India has one card that gives people their income, and the majority of the people who are suffering with that one card are the impoverished people of that land, and they're not getting the income that they are supposed to be getting. Their own whatever stipend or monies that were already set up for this particular part of the world over there in India, they're not getting that money. And the majority of those people, studies just got coming out showing that the majority of those individuals were actually dying in hunger. Let's get to the United States. Black America does not need any handouts. When you say women of color, especially in places like California, we know that it's not going to be black folks, first off. Second piece is, you're using us as usual to push agendas that say that we are the most impoverished in the world and that we need handouts because we weren't given a fair shake. We were not given a leg up. We weren't given the help that everybody else was given. Well, in part, I can understand you trying to help somebody, but you do not help anyone by giving them anything for free. That just does not happen. It just doesn't happen. You don't give anybody anything for free and expect that to be the answer. What it's doing is, it is dismantling America one empowered black woman at a time. How? Because here's what happens. You give that money to that young lady. If she's got any children, which is the reason why you're giving it to her, because you said that she has children. She's a mom. She's got children and the husband or the father is not there. She's not going to need him. So really what you're trying to do is tear up the rest of the fabric of our nation. Listen, the divisiveness that this country has suffered over time, has most assuredly been because the husband has not been with the wives. And then the wives end up getting this boyfriend and that boyfriend and having a boatload of children. Now, for those people who disagree with me, that's fine. You can disagree, boo-boo. I don't mind. I'm speaking for the fact that I have family members that literally fit this narrative. The irresponsibility and the lack of being accountable for the things that people do is the main reason why a lot of people, not all, but some, are in the condition that they're in. And giving somebody something that they never had to work for, giving them something where they have no skin in the game and no reason to change their behavior that got them in the situation that they're in, will only prove to be dangerous. Not just for that one person, but for the children who are watching her get something for nothing. I am Felicia Lockhart, and this has been the Lockhart Perspective. Okay, so that is on Odyssey, and it's nowhere else but on Odyssey. And let me just say this. I am not saying that if you need help, first of all, there was a piece in there that they said, you know what, it shows that, black folk have a major emergency that they would not be able to pay for $400. White people go through the same thing. Americans go through the same thing. It has nothing to do with our ethnicity. There are a lot of people who can't afford an emergency. There are a lot of people who are living paycheck to paycheck. There are a lot of people who go through. I just have a problem with the way they base that story on coming out on the slide telling us why they're giving all this money away. And let me tell you, these organizations are all over the United States. They are running these pilots all over the United States. Did you guys know that? You say, forgive me, I just found you a week ago. Hold on just a second. Okay, forgive me, I just found you a week or so ago. You sound just like Pastor Stephen Darby. If anyone knows who that is, you're right. I don't know him. I don't know him. Thank you. But they are tearing down our country intentionally. It's very frustrating to watch. And they are sending out these dollars, but there are a lot of philanthropic organizations that are utilizing this. Let me tell you what they're doing. They are attempting to practice universal income. And the way that they're going to tell you whether or not it worked was through their test pilot. And their test pilot, after they're done running it, they will gather their information. They will send out these, questionnaires to people who were a part of it. Hello, Inger Norman. They will run all of their questionnaires. They will get their feedback and they will figure out whether or not it did help or not. And they will use that to take to, say, for example, Congress, as Ilhan is a part of. And they will take it to them and they'll say, see, this works. This universal income worked. And it worked in one big place. It worked in California and it worked in Georgia and it's working in New York. And it's also right now, the places that I'm telling you about is where this is working, where this is going on. Okay. And so they're going to come back and they're going to say, hey, guess what? This is where it was working. And this is why we need it. So let us give everybody all of this money. Therein lies the issue. That's the problem right there. I don't want anybody to give me anything for nothing. Let me work, move out of my way so that I can make my living myself. I don't want you to give me anything, because if you give me everything in this particular situation, what's going to happen is you're going to call in that marker eventually. Whether it be mandatory X, Y, or Z, okay, mandatory this, or that, you're going to be able to call it in because those people have now put you, okay, the person who's signing those checks, in the place of Yahweh. Okay? In the place of Yahweh. And that's what you do not want. If you just move out of people's way and allow them to stand, that's one thing. If there are people who need help with food stamps or things of that nature, you can take the food stamps if you need the help. I'm not saying you can't. What I'm saying is that you don't give a whole paycheck to people. $850, $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month to individuals who have done nothing to earn it. You're hurting them. You're not helping them. You really are not helping them. And these are the test pilots that are being run now so that when they finally make the concrete decision to roll out universal income, they will be using it with the data they gleaned from this particular test. Okay, so that's available over there on Odyssey, and you guys can go there and check that out, or other things like that there. Also, you can check us out on Parler. We're everywhere. I'm just trying to make sure that the places that I know that you can find us anytime, you can't find us, that you know where they are. Okay, so listen, it was great with you guys tonight doing ChurchIanity News. Don't forget, on the 21st, we're going to be coming back with, hey, and I'm paraphrasing here because I don't have my sheet in front of me. Hey, Balaam, how much do you cost? You remember the story of Balaam. That's what we're going to be doing when we come back on the 21st on this channel. But you can also find us on Headlines with a Voice, as well as TLP, Headlines with a Voice. All right, you guys, take care. Remember what we always say on this channel, and that is that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High Yah. Until we see each other again, please continue to take care of yourselves and then take care of one another. Until we see each other again, please be blessed. To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping you